Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Greg Gumbel here with my partner Clark Kellogg, bringing you the 2K Sports Season Preview Show. Here are the top 5 teams in the nation as we head into the season. The Memphis Tigers come in as the number 1 ranked team, followed by North Carolina, Connecticut, Michigan State, and Texas. Anything jump out at you from those top 5 teams, Clark?
These are some outstanding teams, Greg. Fun to watch. Not many weaknesses. They do so many things well on the basketball court. It's not surprising to see them in the top 5. Every time these teams take the floor, you're assured of seeing entertaining basketball.
Memphis is in the catbird seat to start the season, sitting pretty in the number 1 spot. They bring back 4 starters, and that should pay huge dividends for them this year.
I can't tell you what an advantage that is for them. There's so much turnover in the college game these days that having 4 starters coming back is almost unfair, Greg.
North Carolina is in the number 2 spot. They're going to have to find someone to fill the void left by their departed leading scorer, Clark.
The important thing for them is not to thrust someone into that role just for the sake of it. It will be a much smoother transition if the players are allowed to ease into their new spots.
Connecticut comes in as number 3. One bit of good news for them, they have last season's leading rebounder coming back for another year.
With that low-post presence already established, they'll have a little bit of swagger heading into the season. I look for them to be sharp right from the start.
Michigan State starts the year as the 4th-ranked team. They're playing in one of the toughest conferences in the nation. How should that affect them, Clark?
It's virtually impossible to go through a conference schedule unscathed. They'll probably take their lumps, but it might pay off come tournament time, as tough conferences tend to produce tough teams.
Texas is the number 5 team. They had a terrific record last season, finishing with 22 wins.
That says a lot about the team they had last year, but trying to rack up that many wins shouldn't be their goal. They need to focus on just playing good basketball and getting to the conference schedule with a nice head of steam. The wins will come.
Here's the next group of teams in our preseason top 25. What's your impression of that set of teams?
The upside of these teams far outweighs the downside. Expect at least half of these teams to finish the season in the top 10, and 1 or 2 of them have a chance to be right at the top.
The Kentucky Wildcats, the number 15 team, have been a topic of discussion heading into the season. They lost a big piece of their team with the departure of last season's leading rebounder.
It's going to have to be a group effort on the boards for a little while until some of the younger big men get the confidence to hold their own game in and game out.
The Duke Blue Devils, the number 6 team, have also generated a lot of interest. They carry over 3 starters from last year, so there shouldn't be too much of a learning curve for this team.
Yeah, they've got the core of that team coming back, and that's going to be huge for them. There won't be much of the feeling out process that so many other teams will have to work through early in the season.
Okay, Clark, let's take a look at the teams that close out the preseason top 25 poll. How about this list?
This is a year, Greg, where I think a few of the teams on this end of the poll really stand out above the others. There are a handful of these teams that are potential sleeping giants.
The North Carolina State Wolfpack, the number 18 team, could be one to watch. Certainly, they'll get a big boost from the return of their leading scorer from a year ago.
That's a big advantage for them. They don't have to spend the first few weeks of the season searching for that go-to guy. They know who he is, and they'll use him.
The Alabama Crimson Tide, the number 20 team, are also worth keeping an eye on. They'll be trying to build on last season's regular season conference championship.
No matter how many different pieces they have this year as compared to last, they'll go into this season with the attitude of we're the champs, and if you want the crown, you've got to go through us.
As usual, we have a lot of new coaching hires to tell you about as we start the season. Here are the coaches who made a change this offseason. Some very interesting moves on the list, to say the least. The Arizona coach is one of the hires that drew a lot of media attention. The Arizona Wildcats have a lot of fans that are delighted to have a coach of his ability, Clark.
He's yet to find his way to that final weekend, but he still has an impressive resume. His new school is certainly hoping he can add a Final Four run to his list of accomplishments.
The Texas Tech coach also made a move to a new school, and that's generated some excitement on that campus. The Texas Tech Red Raiders are a team looking to rebuild under their new leader.
It'll be a little strange to see him on another school's sideline. He's been with his last program so long, he'll have to make some big adjustments to get comfortable on campus.
We now head to the part of the show where we break down the top players in the nation and show you our preseason All-American list. What you see before you is the cream of the crop in college hoops. What a list. The Texas Longhorns are pinning their hopes squarely on this young man's shoulders, Clark.
Capone is the first player on the list for good reason.
Other players are constantly looking for him when he's on the floor. And they should be too, if they've seen his numbers from last year.
He came away with more than 2 steals a game.
The havoc he creates on the defensive end gives his team a huge advantage. What a thief!
As for our next first-teamer, UCLA is more than willing to go into battle with him, Clark.
Merritt is simply a spectacular player. Feels like this guy's been playing college basketball forever. This will be his 4th year as a starter. But I still don't take him for granted, and I think this will be his best season of all of them.
Next up is a player that's drawing comparisons to some of the all-time college greats. The Tennessee Volunteers are fortunate to have him in their corner.
Patton is one of my favorite players in the country. He can make things happen on the basketball court thanks to his unique ability to read and understand defenses, while most players are just trying to come up with their next move. He's 3 steps ahead of the game, and that's what separates the good players from the great.
Let's move on to a player who's worked very hard to earn his spot on the list. The Kansas State Wildcats can depend on a solid effort from him each and every night.
Temple is going to play a huge role in his team's success. A second-team All-American pick last year, he's making the jump to the first team based on the huge upside he showed us. Look for his scoring to pick up even more this year.
And finally, we have another superb player to round out the first team. The UCLA Bruins will probably get used to seeing him the impossible look ordinary.
Morton is going to have his own personal highlight reel by the end of this season. He was his conference's Player of the Year last season, and there's no doubt he'll be back in the running for that award this year too. In fact, he may have some say in the race for National Player of the Year.
Now let's move on to the second team All-Americans. Not such a bad list, huh? These elite players all have the potential to have historic seasons if the right pieces fall into place. The Pittsburgh Panthers have built their team around this young man's talent, and I'd say that's a pretty good idea.
Ozor was close to a spot on the first team, but there was too much competition this season. In addition to everything else he did to help his team win last season, he led them in assists. It's that kind of unselfish play that has made him such a great team leader.
The next player on the team is a sensational player in his own right. North Carolina is in for a great year if he lives up to his potential.
Augustine is in the spotlight for all the right reasons. If I had to pick some frontrunners for the Player of the Year award, he would be right there on the list. I've seen him take over games even when he isn't scoring 30. There are some great scorers among these All-Americans, and he's one of them, but he does much more than score.
We can all look forward to some very exciting highlights from this young man this year. The Syracuse Orange are looking for a lot of production from him, and they probably won't be disappointed.
Locklear
Is at the crux of his team's postseason hopes.
He returns as his team's #1 scorer. His game is complete, and all he has to do is find a way to stay consistent through the season, and he'll easily be one of the top scorers in the nation.
Our next All-American may have designs on the first team by the end of the season. UCLA has one of the most reliable go-to guys in the country in him.
Concorgo is one of the great talents in the college game today. He certainly wasn't afraid to mix it up inside last season. He came away with an average of 7 rebounds a game. I expect him to hit the glass with even more passion this year. He is a rugged competitor.
And here we have the final player on our list of All-Americans, the Providence Friars. Know who their fan favorite is going to be this year.
Bass is ready to have a breakout season.
Players will learn to shy away from going up against him one-on-one. He has excellent timing, which allowed him to block a bunch of shots last year.
He averaged more than 2 a game. Opponents are afraid to take the ball inside when he's in the game, and that gives his team such a big edge.
All right, Clark, that about wraps things up. On behalf of State Farm and the crew, I'd like to thank you again for joining us on the 2K Sports Season Preview. We'll see you during the season.